Hey everybody, it's Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong. I have 4 dream journals here. I mentioned recently that I wanted to make a dream journal for myself, and this is the one I'm keeping for myself. I made 3 additional dream journals to go into the shop. I wanted to share what they look like on the outside. Each one is tied with a different ribbon, or, well, I guess they're all ribbons. Mine is more like a piece of fabric, but these 3 are definitely ribbons. I love the cover on this. I printed an image on fabric, and the same image is on the front of each journal. Lewis Carroll, who wrote Alice in Wonderland, was also a photographer. He was an accomplished photographer, and he really loved children. His pen name was Lewis Carroll. His real name was, I believe, Charles Dodgson. I think that's how you say it. While this is not Alice, he did take photographs of the girl who inspired Alice in Wonderland. This little girl is in a family, I believe she's a McDonald. Anyway, he was friends with different families, and he would take photographs of the children, and they just, you know, they loved him. And then he would pass along these manuscripts of children's stories. I think that's how Alice in Wonderland came to be published. It was so well received, he decided to go ahead and have it published. Anyway, on the front is this girl, this adorable girl. Look at her shoes, her dress. It appears a bit faded. That is the way this is supposed to be. This is a dream journal. And her eyes are open, but she's on this really soft blanket, and she's got a pillow. It looks like she is about to take a nap. I love the color of this fabric, and I love just this base fabric. The whole thing, I really, really like a lot the way it turned out. There is a piece of an old collar here that has, you can see, like sort of like rhinestones, and some little metal pieces that appear to have some patina. A little bit of black velvet there and lace, and then there is my stamp on top of that. I love the color of this fabric right here. I would love to have a couch covered in this. There's a little sample piece of that. And I will actually try to include one of these little samples in each journal. I need to put these out here, so I will remember to do that. There are 3 buttons on the front of each one. There is a bee on the front of each one. And it's just kind of an eclectic cover that is tied together with a theme of dreamland, and how vague that can seem, or how real it can seem, and how these words and images and creatures show up while we're sleeping. And let me go ahead and just put a piece of fabric under here so that you have that. At this point, I'm going to switch back to my journal because I've already started working in mine, and all 4 of these journals are built exactly the same, so you will be able to get an idea of what each journal has that way. I just love this beautiful blue ribbon here. It's a velvet ribbon, and I will show you the cover of each one. You can see the buttons on this one and the blue ribbon. There are buttons on this one, and there is sort of a burgundy ribbon. This ribbon is so soft. It's like satin. It's just really, really soft. Satin or silk, I should say. And then this ribbon, I love this ribbon as well. It seems to be vintage, just a really nice grosgrain, but it's so soft. And you can see the girl, the buttons. We will just tie that, and I will show you each one on the back. Has a piece of that beautiful old collar, and then my stamp on top. And you know what I should have done while I was in here? Put this little piece of fabric in. Oh yes, and each one has kind of an old piece of white fabric on the inside. This one has writing. It looked like it came from some sort of textile sample, and they had written the color and the size on it. And I believe this one still needs a piece of fabric. Yep, so let's just put that under there. All right, let's get into mine. See, mine is wrapped with just a piece of fabric that is torn. And Let me say right up front, you can make all the changes you want to a journal. Like, one of the reasons I tie them around and around with something is to train them to lay flat, because when you very first fold all these pages together, there's a tendency of the pages to want to open back up. But after it's been wrapped for a day, you can see it just lays flat. Really nice. So every journal on these strings on the outside, there are a couple of these pretty glass beads. 3 buttons, the image on the front we talked about, and the stamp on the back. And then getting inside, so I've already started working on mine. And I just thought this bag needed to be grunged up right away. I'm actually not going to pull this out. What I've done is pin to each, so there's like a belly band right here in the front. I did that because I didn't want to try to put a pocket on top of all of this. Originally, I was not going to put pockets at all. And as I looked at the 4 journals and started thinking about this idea, I decided, well, I do need something. And I like the idea of this belly band right across the front. The little pouch here, it's just a cotton bag or pouch. It's a drawstring. It just looked too pristine to me, so I used some of that beautiful mustard seed ink by Ranger, some drops of distress ink, and I accidentally got some gold paint already from working in this journal, but I like to work that way. You already know that about me. It is where I painted this page, and I didn't worry a whole lot about what was behind, so I ended up getting this paint here. In each bag, there's a really smooth butterfly bead, and I just wrote on my bag Dreamstone. I think it's really nice to hold something like this. I don't have a rosary. I don't really know a lot about the rosary, but I do understand why it's nice to hold something. I have a good friend who carries a worry stone. One of my stones that is wrapped with wire, it's an agate. And one of the reasons I bought it is because on the back, well, the way I wrapped it and the way it hangs on the leather cord, on the back of it is a concave area that's perfect for your thumb. And I find myself holding it sometimes, just rubbing that smooth part of the agate. And I'm not trying to invoke anything magical. I just think it's a good meditative thing. So each one has a butterfly bead that complements your journal. I think I'm probably going to, let me pull this back out. I'm probably going to find a way to put mine on a ribbon or something and really, bling it out. I could hang it around my neck and use it. I could hang it somewhere where I see it every morning when I wake up, like on my bedstand, to remind me to wake up slowly to remember my dreams. On this very first page, so as I flip through this, just bear in mind that all 4 journals are built the same, and I will show you where they might vary as we go through my journal. That's the first thing I wrote in the front. Remember to wake up slowly and actively recall your dreams. Every time I read about dreams and recalling dreams and keeping a dream journal, that's one of the main things, is that waking up slowly, because if you jump out of bed and jump into your day, those dreams just disappear. At least for me, they do. It seems like it has to be a really strong, vivid dream for that not to happen. Now there's a tear in that very first little, let's see, imagine, believe, hope, dream. So that's perfect. I'm going to tear off a piece of this washi tape to just put on that page so that doesn't tear anymore. And there's a stamp on each one on this first page and a little stamp mark, and there is a ticket. That is your ticket to dream. I thought that was kind of a cute thought to get into this. I painted the inside of this first page gold. I painted right over the paper clip. So I don't know if that paper clip, it's either going to stick and really stick so that I decide not to remove it at all, or when I pull it off, it's going to leave a really cool mark underneath where you can see the paper, or it's going to tear the paper and I'm going to have to make even more repairs, which is fine. for now, that paint. I think there's more drying that needs to happen here. So in every journal, in the back, there's a stack of paper. And there's little pieces of wallpaper. That's a piece from a sketch someone did. There's some really thin sheets of like vellum or tracing paper. A couple of lined pieces, or one or two. I'm not sure how many each one has, but you all have a stack of paper where you can write things down. Some of this paper came off of my desk where I've been working, so it might have marks on it. They won't all be the same. And then you have a couple of pieces where you could make a tag if you want to. So all of that is in the back, and I really, really, really like these pages that have the marks on them. So let's go back over here. This very first thing, I wanted to remember the dream about typewriter. So, and the reason I put the paper in, not every single page is suitable for writing directly upon. You can change it, you can put gesso on it, you can put paint on it. For me, like this dream went to the front and the back. Sometimes I will write directly on the pages. Sometimes I'm going to use a note card or something. And that's what I did here. I took a nap in the afternoon and had a clear dream that I had a little brown hamster named Typewriter. I woke up and acted on the dream. When I walked into PetSmart, there was right away a little brown Syrian hamster that ran to the front of the cage and stood up to look at me. Typewriter. I brought her home, and she now has a lovely cage, aquarium, in parentheses, and lots of toys. I think as we start to recall things in our dreams, it helps us to heal. It helps us to see what kind of fears we have in our subconscious, all sorts of things. Now, this one, I don't think I've shared this dream. This was a really disturbing dream in some ways, and it was also very confirming. I put this picture by Arthur Rackham of Alice in like this shower of cards. And this ties in so perfectly. I was already thinking about Alice in Wonderland, and I had been looking at some of the old illustrations. You know, there are several different artists who illustrated Alice through the years, and some of them just became more famous, like the Alice in the Blue Dress, and Arthur Rackham is a well-known, he does, he's dead of course, he did illustrations that could feel very much on the magical or mystical side of things, even beyond Alice in Wonderland. I love his illustrations. In a nutshell, this dream was about the old house, and it was about the house sort of falling down around me. And it was in the process of being sold, but I felt like things were being covered up for it to be sold, and we needed to be honest about things. And just what symbolism. There was a really loud pop in the dream, and I felt something go past my ear really fast. And it was something flying loose from the ceiling, which was being just sort of held in place, just tacked into place in one corner. And as that bolt or whatever popped out, and then the whole ceiling just peeled away in the dream. So that's perfect. And what's interesting, when I told Jason about the dream, he had not seen any of this. He looked at me and said, House of Cards. So this is just the perfect thing. And you know, I love to keep adding and adding to my journals. So I will just doodle and come back and add all sorts of things. I want it to be really full and chunky and full of quotations, dreams, symbolism, just everything before it's done. So that's all I've done in this one so far. So I'm going to flip through and show you what each one has. Each one starts with a brown page, then has some music, and then it has a piece of scrapbook paper. All of those will be different. It has a piece of black paper. Then it has a little piece of scrapbook paper that I think is really inspiring. It's different designs. I think this paper came from the artist pages in the Stampington magazines. Then there is a piece of paper from my desk that's been sort of stained and covered in stuff. Piece of cream colored paper. Here is a page, 2 pages that have been put together and taped. It has quotations on it, really good writing paper. There is another little piece of scrapbook paper with one of the ideology index clips on it. Each one has a piece of wallpaper. Each one has a piece of paper from my desk with some sort of staining or writing or something on it. Each one has a page with one of these files, and that is taped to a piece of vellum so that it would make a big enough page to open up. And you'll see the other side of this when we get to it. So another piece of stained paper. This is fun paper. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you what this does. This paper is perforated across the top, which I thought was kind of interesting. Now, you don't have to do this to this paper, but I thought it would be really fun, you know, when you get to this, to either have this little tab here, or you could just pull it out here at the top if you wanted to make some little extra note or do something fun with the page. Again, you do not even have to tear that. I just came across that paper and thought it was really cool, so I bought a stack of it. And so each journal has one of those. Each journal has a page from the pack of paper that was about the stars. Those might all be different. It was about the sky, the night sky, the stars. That was a Super Buy paper pad at Michael's. Each one has a page from a book of art by Borsch. I think I'm saying that right. Borsch. I need to look that up. Anyway, those paintings too can be very mystical and magical, and just his work continues to be copied today, even onto t-shirts and mugs, and just some really, really mythical, magical, mystical things. There's another piece of that perforated paper, another piece of the cream colored paper, and then in the very center, each one has a piece of that beautiful stained wallpaper that had been sitting on the desk. So then let's just quickly go back the other way. There's the other half of that art paper from the art book, or the, you know, the illustrations from Borsch or Borsch. And then that was stained. It's just, I think I've got glue or something on mine, so I've been working in it. There's the other half of that tab, that index card. And then wow, the crows outside are really loud this morning. They have been gathering in the yard and talking and yelling. I had been working with gesso in mine. That's why the pages are stuck like that. And then, of course, back here, we've got the stack of paper. We have this pocket. There is a bulb pen with a couple of tags, and that's it. I think I put 20 folded pages in here, so that gives you 40 spreads, or, you know, somewhere thereabouts, 39, and then 80 individual pages if you count front and back and do it that way. So there are links in order to purchase these. I only have 3. We're going to call them purple, burgundy, and blue. And there will be links for these. I will be back really soon. Several of you have requested art journals made with the structure or design that I used when I made Poetic Rust, or when I do like my latest art journal. I love to sew these heavy mixed media or watercolor pages to fabric and then sew it inside the cover with a sewing machine. It gives you a beautiful, very eclectic, very funky journal, and it gives you heavy paper to work on. Just a really fun way to journal. So I'm going to start on some of those today, and they will be in the shop as soon as I can get them done, but I will give you a heads up. All right, thank you, and I will see you soon. Bye for now.